Hello and welcome to Fresh Mountain Air. I'm your host, J Soho, and we're going to talk about neuromyths today. So let's start off with some simple true or false. Some people are more right-brained and others are more left-brained. True or false? The brain has parts that work in compartmentalized ways. True or false? Okay. Well, the first one is false. The second one is true. And I'm going to go in depth and tell you a little bit more about it. From the website Startup, Thomas Moran could tell us in his February 5th edition that the definition of a neuromyth is a commonly held false belief about how the mind and brain function. The term neuromyths was first coined by an OEDC report on understanding the brain. The term refers to a translation of scientific findings into misinformation regarding education. Which brings us back to this left brain, right brain debacle. It really started off many years ago when brain science was in its infancy. See, some people believe that some people were more right brain and others were more left brain. They saw that they were artistic if they were right brain. They saw that they were more analytical if they were left brained. They thought that their brains were compartmentalized in ways. They were compartmentalized, but science seems to lean away from that localization, like left brain or right brain had a specific job. Most brain functions involve completely complicated systems that actually involve both left and right hemispheres. Language has to work with both sides. One side has to analyze what they need to say, and the other side needs to put it together in a tone or contrast so it can be relayed to people correctly. Carl Sherman tells us from the Dana Foundation that the hemispheres, after all, are not truly separated. Communication between them is enabled by fibers, broad white matter tracks through which the constant traffic of neural messages pass from side to side. The most prominent of these is the corpus callosum, but smaller tracks connect the hemispheres as well. So here's the kick about the creative brain. Perhaps the most seductive and tenacious belief about the brain lateralization is that those that are right-brained have become kind of shorthand for creative. We've dubbed them this. There's indeed evidence that there's a particular region in the right hemisphere that's activated during this aha moment of insight. But we have to kind of think about what are the steps that led up to that point. Researchers go on to tell us about the problem-solving process that leads up to this insight. It looks as though the cortical network is more distributed. Research believes that there's a different manifestation of creativity that also lies in the ability of people to make up stories, weaving unrelated objects or twisting phenomenon into incoherent narratives. This chiefly relies on the left brain, which people have deemed more analytical. So the next time that something pops up on Twitter or Facebook that has you take this personality test of are you left brain or are you right brain, you might want to think into that, because when you're taking that test, guess what? You're using both your left and the right side of your brain. It is just assumed that many of the neuromyths are true. And if you happen to be one of those people, you're not alone. For example, regarding dyslexia, researchers found that 76% of the general public still believe that dyslexics see words written backwards. I wanted to see just how far neuromyths had progressed in our society. So I polled the nearest group that was available, my class of 25 art students. Most of them had heard of, well, us using 10% of our brain, and others had heard that if you eat certain food, it'll make you smarter, and that if you exercise more, it'll also make you smarter. Though there is some facts behind those last two statements, I believe my students had other thoughts. There was only a small percentage that knew about the left brain or right brain neuromyth. So it was good to see that while some neuromyths continue to plague our students, others are slowly dying off and going off into the annals of history. If we as teachers allow neuromyths to continue, then we are just perpetuating ignorance. It is our job to see that the correct information is given to students so that they don't continue these biases in the future.